Tom, thank you so much for being with us today. We are here to celebrate your part of the wonderful legacy of the Edina Chorale. You are very important to this group for many reasons, but having the longest tenure in your position as the conductor. So I'd love to hear more about how and when did you come into your conducting position in the Edina Chorale?
I believe I just saw an ad in the Star Tribune. It's when there was obviously no internet, or wasn't as big a deal as it is now. And positions were advertised in an arts and entertainment part of the Star Tribune. So I placed a few phone calls and got some more information. And I think I even went to a concert that they did, and I decided I would like to apply for it. Had a good interview, and they asked me to become their new music director.
Yeah, and the rest is history.
And the rest, as they say, is history. Yeah.
That's wonderful. So you've had such a rich history with the group, doing so many things. Is it possible for you to highlight a couple of performances or memories that are so special to you?
Oh yeah. But I could go on and on for years and years on that front. But maybe just a couple. I think one of my first years was our first Pops concert. Officially a Pops concert around round tables with wine and hors d'oeuvres and chocolate, coffee, and just kind of a spring party. And we did music of Gershwin and Bernstein and Sondheim. And so it was pretty high quality, good stuff. And we had a great time, especially with a lot of Gershwin's lyrics, because they're so rich and they're so original and so poetic. We did quite a few really wonderful collaborations. Of course, with the Wayzata Symphony in the last couple of years, or maybe my last 10, 15 years. But we also collaborated with the Cannon Valley Regional. It was another orchestra, like basically the Burnsville Symphony. I don't think it was called that. Early on, to do a Schubert Mass. We became acquainted with the Edina High School choir director, and were able to kind of worm our way in and start rehearsals there, which was a really, really good place for us to go. I remember especially enjoying our trips to Italy and to Vienna and Budapest and to Washington, D.C.
That's a lot of travel.
Not too bad in 22 years.
I think that's fantastic.
And I think that's something that the chorale should do a little bit more regularly, every 5-6 years.
I think they agree with you. I have heard that already.
I hope so. Because it really is a wonderful way to expand your ability to grow in music. Everything we did was when we were traveling, was in collaboration with other groups from around the country, and some from I believe from Australia, was it? So it was really pretty cool. You did sing, what was it, Haydn's Lord Nelson Mass with 300 of your closest friends from around the world in a beautiful Vienna cathedral.
That's powerful.
Yeah, that was very powerful.
Those are some of those life-changing experiences for singers.
Yeah.
To take their music outside of their community, to step into someone else's community, and to make music with them. And
the Vienna Cathedral was pretty close to where that Mass would have been premiered. And it was the kind of space that Haydn had in mind for it. So it was a great, just exciting time.
That's wonderful. And if you don't mind me asking, I know that there was at one point a special commission for you to write a piece, a big Mass piece.
There was I was commissioned, yeah. I wrote it was supposed to be a 20-minute piece. It ended up being a 35-minute piece.
That's pretty close.
Yeah, I thought it was reasonably close, and I don't remember that the commissioner minded too much.
No.
But we did that with the choir at Wayzata Community Church and the Wayzata Symphony. We did it in honor of yours and my colleague, Dr. Diana Lee Lucker,
Right.
at the time that she retired from Wayzata Church.
Well, and that experience was special for me because that was sort of opened the door to my exposure to the Edina Chorale, and now here we are sort of sharing these seats and talking about a group that we sort of share in this way. So that was very special for me. Plus, it was a beautiful piece, and I know you're too humble about it, but it's truly beautiful.
Thank you. I just wish I could get another performance of it. Still haven't had one. But you reminded me that one of your introductions to the Edina Chorale, we'd been working at Wayzata Church,
right?
And you were doing wonderful things with the sopranos and teaching voice, with the Wayzata chancel choir. And so I asked you to come and be our guest clinician and just teach voice for half a day.
Yep.
And it was really, really fun. People loved it.
Well, thanks. Thank you for that opportunity. It was really special, and it actually opened a door for me that maybe this community style of chorus would also be something I would consider. I hadn't even thought of that yet at that point in my career, and watching you work with the ensemble was really inspiring. And so being able to step in and just have some time to sort of flex my wings and see how that felt was really special.
Get to know the people and
and it might have
see what it feels like.
Laid the groundwork for where we are today. So that's really special, and thank you for including me in that. So my next question for you would be, what is something special that you brought to the Edina Chorale in your tenure, or what was part of the legacy that you helped create?
It seemed to me, and this is in 2020 hindsight, that the chorale was trying to figure out who and what they were going to be. They had been founded originally as a choir for women only.
Right.
In their first year. The second year, they expanded to gentlemen. But what was kind of their niche, their role in the Twin Cities choral scene, or why do they exist?
Right.
And I think the first step in that came my second or third year when the board approved us becoming an auditioned choir. And the basic idea was I wasn't looking for someone to come in and go to the Met. I was looking for someone to be able to come in and match pitch and have basic reading skills and be able to contribute and enjoy contributing to the chorale. And through that, we kind of came into this niche of people who were coming back to singing. So they had sung in high school choir, or sung in college choir, and then graduated, gotten married, had children, had a job, all that stuff. And by the time they're in their 40s, they're probably going, well, I have a little more time now and a little more money, and I really miss this singing thing that I did in high school. Well, auditioned for Dale Warland or Minnesota Chorale or Philip Brunel is hugely intimidating.
Yes.
And our audition said, come in and sing your favorite song. Just come in and meet us. And that was something that someone who hadn't been singing for 20 years could come in and do fairly easily and get their feet wet. And I think it worked pretty well. We also became a place to keep singing. And that was one of the things that made me really happy that you took over the position, because you have such good vocal technique teaching skills.
Thank you.
And as people sing, their voices change, and as they get older, their voices change with their bodies.
Yes.
And being reminded of real of the basics of breath support and articulation, and we all need to be reminded of that from time to time, and it helps keep us singing as we
Yes.
grow older.
And that's so essential because your voice is, and I think that's what's so beautiful about your vision for the group is there is a place for every voice, regardless of where you are in your path. If you're coming back to it, if you're continuing, you created that open door for people to come back in a safe way, get their toes wet, like you said, and then eventually just dive in and stay with it. And I hope you're happy to hear that that is absolutely the vibe of the Edina Chorale to this day.
Good. It
Through
should
several
be.
conductors, and
It should be.
it's a safe place. It's a beautiful community, and it's part of your work to make it that way. So thank you so much.
Well, I had a lot of help.
Yeah. It is a community effort.
It was a community effort. It's not something you can do on your own.
No.
Yeah.
So Tom, you've been away from the Edina Chorale now for a little while, and I'm wondering, what do you miss most about working with the group or the singers?
Well, I always wanted to be a conductor, and that was a real joy in my life. But with 2020 hindsight, I think there are a lot of singers that I miss. People I worked with for 20 years, or most of 20 years, and always having that personal connection and knowing what's going on with them in their lives. I can go back to the committee that hired me. Michelle Berry was on that committee, and she's still singing.
Yes.
Dave Turk was
Still
on
singing.
that committee. Susie and Paul Schultz have always been good friends, and they were fun to sing with, fun to have around. Polly Straggy.
Still singing.
So quite a few. I could go down. I could name a lot of names.
You could name a
Yeah.
lot of names, yeah.
Yeah, and I still see a lot of them on Facebook, and every once in a while run into them in the grocery store or at concerts,
Right.
and that's kind of fun.
So even though you have that position of the conductor, that lifelong friendship and those lifelong relationships that you can carry with you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh, yeah,
really beautiful.
Definitely.
That's really wonderful.
Yeah.
So if you could share one message or one final thought with our audience members and the members of the Edina Chorale, what would you like to leave us with today?
Well, I know they've heard this many times before. It's not brain surgery. Yeah, let's take it seriously, but not too seriously.
That is
You know,
well said.
Let's get the work done so that we feel comfortable standing up and performing for our friends and family and strangers
Right?
and whoever else. But let's not get too uptight about different situations, about what dresses the women are going to wear, or it's not brain surgery. It's meant to be art, and it's meant to be fun, and it's meant to be fulfilling.
And that art being fulfilling, well, I know that your tenure with the Edina Chorale has meant so much to so many, myself included. I include you as an important friend and mentor in my life, and I thank you so much for opening the door for me to work with the Edina Chorale, and I know the members of the Edina Chorale are so grateful for your legacy, the longest tenure of all the conductors, and what an impact you had on our community. And the Edina Chorale is forever grateful for all that you brought to us, and we hope to continue to sing some of your arrangements, include you in the process into the future, for you are a very, very special part of the Edina Chorale.
Thank you. I'm very honored, and would be happy to be as helpful as the chorale wants me to be.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Tom Paulson, for joining us for an interview today. We look forward to now hearing a couple of selections from your time with the Edina Chorale.
Thank you so much.